Shower, huh?
No, just got sweaty working out.
Oh, nice. Even better.
Yeah, some jogging, nothing too crazy.
Cool. I'll be hitting that after you, after the show. Good.
Is it stuck?
No, I got it.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Bill.
How are
How's
you,
a pretty
man?
good workout?
I did some walking and some jogging. I'm trying to do some heart rate stuff, some very targeted heart rate stuff. So was out there doing a little bit of jogging, getting a little sweaty, and just decided to, show up and do the show. So this is sweat out of shape, John.
You know what? The good news is all looks the same. In shape, out of shape, sweat looks all the same. So
It looks all the same for sure, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I already failed this week.
Talk to me about it. What happened?
So my back was hurting, so I did very little walking yesterday. So I got my workout technically in, but I was taking it easy so I didn't hurt my back. Kevin, you know if that's right. Um, I've got Instagram over here. But the so I hurt my back. It was just a little tweaked, and so I sat down. I stretched out. I was feeling okay, and dinner time was coming up, and so I even had on my fridge like just a rudimentary like, okay, this is what I'm eating.
Nice.
Check it
Okay.
off, right? So I get to dinner, and it's rice and veggies, and I'm like, and I like rice and veggies. I'm actually good with it. It's not even like a super hard thing, right? But my back
Yeah.
hurts, and I'm like, I don't want to get up and cook. And I started Umbrella Academy. I don't know if you've started that yet.
Oh, I've not started that yet. No.
Ooh, it's good. It's good.
Is it good?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so I start that, and I'm like, I don't want to get off the couch. I just don't want to do it. And so I ordered Wingstop. And then
Man.
so then I've ordered. And I'm like, I'm gonna fail this. I'm gonna fail this bill bet if I don't do something. And I'm like, okay, I'll add veggies to it because the whole point is I gotta eat what's on the fridge. So I'll eat my wings and I'll eat my veggies. Didn't do it.
Didn't do it. Oh man.
Didn't do it.
So the reason why, and we haven't really talked a ton about this, but I think it's important to do so. One of the bad things about having like daily bets, right, and having such short term windows is that there's no room for like anything to get in your way, right? Like and like
Right.
things do get in the way, right? And so
Exactly.
uh, I think it's one of those things, but like because yesterday I didn't ice my wrist,
Hmm.
right? And I was laying in bed and I was just wiped out and I like popped awake and I was like, man, I didn't ice my wrist today. Like what the crap? And then I was like, if I ice it in the morning and then I do like another one in the evening, it's still getting individual sessions on and time away from each other and stuff like this. And really, that's why you have a KPI, right? So that way you can track the activities that are supposed to be working you towards a goal, right? So um, I would say that since there was not an art, there was no bet around the fact that you wouldn't buy food, just that you would consume the food that you had made this week, right? Week's not over yet.
That's true. That's true. Well, and the other thing I was thinking about was the Pavlok idea because I'd been looking into his stuff, and his concept is everyone's going to fail, which is why you need constant reminder, right?
Yep.
And so like last night, if I had had that reminder, I might have taken the watch off and be like, I don't care, I'm sitting on the couch, stop buzzing at me. Um, but the whole idea is it's repetition, right? It's over and
Mm-hmm.
over. You build yourself into these habits. So I was thinking, it's a one time thing. So I don't
Yeah.
want to talk my way out of the bet at all. But yeah, I also noticed that I didn't set any particular stakes this week either. So that'd be another reason that it was easier to let it slide is because I didn't have a specific set of stakes. Uh,
Maybe.
you
You
know,
know, so I just kind of default to that if you don't pick one or if I don't pick something similar, my default is just like the $500.
yeah,
So that's just kind of like like always going to be in play like each week.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
but
naming helps though, for sure.
for sure, right? I mean, it's like a forced look at it, which I think is important. But if by Friday evening I've still done 7 sessions of icing on my wrist, right? I'm still getting the benefit of why I'm doing the behavior, right? It's about drawing blood away, reducing inflammation, doing all these things. So there's a healing element to that. Same thing happens with like all of your business KPIs and your selling KPIs and everything else like this. If you have to talk to 15 decision makers in a week or whatever, then if you get all 15 done on Friday, like you still hit the goal, you still hit the metric, right?
Yep.
We just know that things get in the way. So if you don't knock stuff out as soon as you can, it will get your schedule will get hijacked. There's always some big thing or something else you want to go do. So just make sure you're knocking out the stuff as early as you can.
So we have some comments. Levi said, "Good morning, Umbrella Academy trumps rice and veggies every day of the week." Totally. Mike totally agrees. Michelle said, "I guess I need to watch it," and Mike said him and his wife Ben watched the entire thing.
Dang. Okay.
So
There's so much like really good content. We're going through the newest season of The Flash, and
I love the Flash.
like I so as a family we love The Flash, right? Alice and I like Supergirl. I like Arrow, and so Arrow, they've got these huge like crossover events that are like one shows and everything else. And they're so epic, but like we're making our way through the show, and then this huge crossover thing happens, and then it's like, okay, what episode of this show is part of this thing? And then we go over there and we're not caught up, and it's like I get what they're trying to do, and I understand the point of it, but it does make it a little bit difficult whenever people don't want to drink all of your Kool-Aid.
Yeah. So in the way I've handled that, because my kids also love Flash and they love Arrow. And we watched 2 seasons of Supergirl, but just really weren't into it because I thought my daughter might like it. She's like, eh. And we watched what's the other the group that's on the traveling time ship, the Legends.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah. We watched the first season of that, and it was pretty good. But we're not like massively huge on it, and like watching all sorts of TV and movies all week. Like we try and save it for the weekends, and sometimes occasionally. But so we try to narrow it. So we picked Arrow and Flash to follow. But like what we did this last year because of the whole crossover thing, is we watched every episode of every one of the seasons this year before crossover, so that we would be fully bought into the whole story. And gosh, it was so good. It was so good.
It is. I mean, they're doing a really good job. Like whenever Arrow came out, I was kind of like, I'm not really sure about this. And then I started to watch it, and it was pretty dark, which I was like, okay, like this isn't terrible. But it's hard to watch dark comic book stuff when you've got a kid and you're not really sure if like, is this appropriate for them and everything else. And I was watching this 3 or 4 years ago, so I also was a good deal younger. But yeah, I think they're doing a good job. I just wish that they would be like, cool, just watch all the crisis parts like in one area online. So I don't have to go find episode season 3, episode 9.
Well, they ended up doing that.
Did they?
If you go to their website, the crisis episodes are in order, spread across the different platforms.
Okay, yeah. I should have looked. I didn't. I just made a bad assumption. How was yesterday, Bill?
So, besides the failure, it was good. I mean, everything else went great. I had all my stuff yesterday. It was really productive. I added some more to the plate, so I'm actually ended up got a pretty busy week. Today's going to be pretty busy, but I got some good work from my VA, so I got to preview some of that. That was really nice.
Good.
Got my Legion draft done, so it's actually already on to design, and then working on some content for my group starting.
Nice.
So pretty good. What about you? How was your yesterday?
Yesterday was good. I did a little bit of blocking and tackling and just kind of knocking some stuff out. I'm really trying to build a more solid morning kind of wind up routine, right? That does not involve the things that take me off track, right? So not checking my email first thing in the morning, not checking social first thing in the morning,
Okay.
and kind of building a routine of things that I check in a very specific order. So that way it becomes this program that I just run. I come in, I check this, I check this, I check this, I check this, I check this. And I think I'm stacking that with CRM stuff, to-do list stuff, things like that. So that way I can just hit that ground running, especially after like this, right? Because I get really jacked up talking to you, and then we get done, and then I'm just so jacked up. It's like, whoa, let me go take over the world, and it's like, wait, let's go clean up my CRM, and stuff like that. So like it forces me into like a headspace of like work the process, follow the motions, do the things that are important, as opposed to like, I'm jacked up on this, let's go find someone else to be jacked up about, and then looking for huge things, which are chasing not the thing that makes my business run. And I think more of that, right? And I don't know how much of this is coming from like all my stoic stuff, because like a lot of people think about stoic badly, and it's about like a detachment from all feelings, which is not true, and stuff like this. But it's just about removing the distraction your feelings can have on you. So I don't know if those are correlational or causational, but I find it to be pretty interesting. So did a little bit of work on that yesterday. I had 2 calls with clients. Oh, I did a live CRM build with this guy yesterday. He'd been working with a sales coach for a long time, so he had some process, had some knowledge, had some of this information that made it really okay for me to feel comfortable doing it with him live. So we hopped on a Zoom call. It was an hour and a half, and I built him all the way through the adaptive growth like model, all the important things inside of Pipedrive. So got his calendar, his thing, and everything else like this, recorded the whole thing as we built it. And then at the end of it, I said, here it is. We showed it to him, said, what questions do you have? We talked about all those. And then we got done with that. I paused the recording, and I was like, man, I would love some feedback. How was this? I've never done this live before. And he was like, man, could not have fooled me any harder. It seems like you do this all the time. And I was like, well, I do a lot of these, just not live on a call, in the moment. And he was like, man, no, this was huge, because seeing you helped me, the questions you asked me helped me, and then knowing that I'm going to get the recording of this video so that I can reference it whenever I need, it's going to be helpful. And I said, cool. And then you also get 4 weeks of touch-ins to make sure that this is working for you, what needs to be adjusted and stuff like this. He said, man, like this is so awesome. And I said, great. So because I knew this guy, and because I was going to do it in a different way, I charged him not as much as I would normally charge, right? I only charged him $400. And I said, I'm curious, do you think this is worth more than $400 now that you've been through it? And this is important. This is super important, because if I hadn't asked that question, I would probably go try to do another one at $400. And he goes, man, this is worth way more than $400. And I said, thank you so much. I appreciate that. What about it did you like? We kind of walked through that process, and I said,
what about it?
Yeah. He liked that it was right there. He liked that he saw me building it, because me clicking through things while he was watching was helpful. And then I said, if you were going to do this again, for some reason, how much would you be comfortable paying for this exact process as we've gone through it today? And he goes, man, I would pay you $1,000 to go through this again. And I was like, cool. That's exactly what I needed to know. Thank you so much. So that was obviously huge.
So did you figure out why? Like, obviously that's more in your ideal client range. If someone loves what you do, will pay you more than you charge, and is going to tell other people about it, that's a perfect source. Have you done any thinking about why he was such a good fit?
Well, the thing about it is, and this is something that my Bill Jake talks about all the time, just because you find value in a market doesn't necessarily mean that it's the market you need to be going after, right? So while I love all these smaller agency, ClickFunnels coaches and consultants and stuff like this who are really focused on the digital stuff and ClickFunnels, and they want closers and everything else like that, like my first, I guess, kind of exposure to sales and stuff like this has been in industries that digital marketing historically does not work very well for, right? And when you can't get lead gen in place super, super easily, there's a lot more that goes into sales that you have to stay on top of and aware of and things like that. So it's people who are not running away from sales. They're not trying to shift from less sales to more marketing. They've already made the commitment that like selling is a noble art and not something to run away from. They just need a little bit of help about doing it better. So
Okay.
I think there's a whole other market here because this guy sells really huge commercial air conditioning units to like THR and stuff like this. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we put in a test deal yesterday to kind of show him how it works, and it was $180,000 AC build out. So it's those kinds of guys who have to go network, have got to put in the work, and have got to grind it out because ads don't really make sense, really hard to target for and stuff like that. Like, there's still salespeople who are not in the funnel thing. They're not in the tripwire thing or any of the stuff that you and I spend so much time talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my target market, I would say, for this kind of live build out deal.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would think anybody that has a larger um, price point and maybe a longer sales process, this would be a perfect thing for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Um,
Very good.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. I think it's maybe some of like the blue collar stuff, right? Not in like a derogatory way,
Yep.
but those guys are out having to sell and having to get in front of people and make connections and biz dev and do all these things, and like that requires a lot of mental bandwidth, and having a CRM so that way you can track all that stuff is super important. So
Yeah. Totally. That's awesome, man. That went well.
thank you. Yeah, me too. And then after that, I wrote about 1,000 words on the new writing project. So I don't really have like any kind of goals about this. It's just about writing 1,000 words a day on the topic of why no is such like a powerful thing and why we lose access to it, is in different roles that we do. I don't know. It could be just a pile of nothing at the end of it. We'll see what happens.
Cool.
What do you got today, Bill?
Well, turn my email off because it's blowing up right now. I don't want to hear from you yet. So I've got workout right after this, and then I've got a decent amount of client work to push forward today to get
Mhm.
deliverables to clients. I got about halfway through it yesterday, so I'm a good pace there. And then I've got let's see, the one other major thing. Oh, I'm gonna shoot a couple videos today for my group for static content long term. I'm adding a couple things there, and then I'm meeting with a teammate actually on Quirk and helping him through some stuff on like applying his particular skill sets. Because
Nice.
a lot of people I talk to tell me that I'm good at helping them connect their skill sets to their work. So
Yeah,
I like having those
I would agree with
conversations.
that.
Yep, cool. So that's what I got. What about you?
I have a digital coffee later on today with a new introduction that a good friend of mine brought my way. His name's Jason Jones, and he's a financial advisor. And so uh, he has a guy who wants to get into sales or is in sales. And so we're going to have a chat later on today. We have Sales Lab. So 2 today, office hours. So come ask me questions, come ask me to role play, come try to stump me with a sales question, and
Do
see if
it.
I get stumped.
Do it. I'm actually going to try and
Um,
make it every other week now, just to pop in.
cool.
That was fun.
Yeah. I'll role play anything you want. If you want me to do the stupid sell you a pin thing, I will. If you want me to sell you a car, whatever, we can figure it out. Questions about tech, sourcing, staffing, anything in the sales world. After that, I've got a call with a prospect who I talked about this on here last week. This new potential like referral partner, I guess, is a marketer and works with a group that helps people write books. So I'm having the discovery call with that company today, which is really cool. I got connected with someone who has had 4 bestsellers for clients. So we're going to have a conversation about their process and everything else like this. I've already done my asks for people. I've probably done 8 or 9 asks in different groups and different circles that I run in. So that's already off and done for the books. I'm going to spend some time in the new project management tool this morning, Start Infinity. And let's see. Then at 4:15 to 5:15, we're building out a pain matrix for a client that I'm finding a closer for. So busy afternoon, but the morning is going to be some deep work, which will be good.
Cool. Well, I titled this live stream "Grit or Surrender" because I think what's interesting is we ended up like I was trying to grit my way through it through the meal stuff and just just do it, write it down and do it. But something interesting that you mentioned was having a process in the morning that's more tightened up And that's where the thought process was you can either grit through it or you can surrender to the process because that's what the process is there for. And when you don't have it, then you get bit. And when you have it and you don't have accountability, you can get bit. So
You
I
know
think it's a lot more about surrendering to the process.
well, and it's also just like working the plan, right? I mean, you because on some level, I feel like you knew that you were going to get sucked into a show because we know that this is going to happen sometimes to us, right? If a show's really good, we're going to get sucked into it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not bad, but if you know that's going to be happening and your back's a little bit tight, the I've shifted away from this idea that I've got to be perfect in the moment because like that's just really impossible to do and requires a lot of like self-imposed pressure
Yeah.
to okay, how can I be a little bit better at this next time? And the meditation app that I use is called Headspace, and they do arguably one of the best jobs I've ever seen about making it okay, right? Like he talks endlessly about just start again, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, just make sure that you start again and do these things. And it's kind of become this mantra that I kind of follow, which is kind of interesting because I don't like to be wrong. Like
Mm-hmm.
man, I will go to great lengths to avoid being wrong
Mm-hmm.
or to being technically incorrect or appearing foolish. So, what often happens is I build these habits and these goals and these tasks and man, I peg them at like the 90 mile an hour version of it.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a matter of time until I fall off. Right. Um, and then it's just like, well, I don't want to go through that again, so I'm not going to. So there's no real adjustment to the process to make it something that I can live with long term,
Right.
because I get really ramped up and too into my stuff and set goals that are very very hard to hit. So
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. So you either have to dial back your goals or you have to be okay with knowing that you're going to fail some of the time, knowing that that's just part of
and
your process.
I mean, and here's the deal: like we're gonna finish this, I'm gonna go ice my wrist immediately to make sure that I don't forget about it for 2 days in a row because I don't want to have to do four 15-minute icing sessions on Friday because I don't think that that'll help,
Not
right?
so much.
Yeah, exactly. Your fingers are blue.
I
Um,
have a new problem.
so, but like things happen, man. I mean, over the course of 5 days, emergencies are going to pop up, schedules are going to change, and things like this. So the goal is to have a deadline and try to get it done as soon as you possibly can so that way you don't have to deal with the lagging stuff that gets in the way. I'm reading this book right now. Oh, I had an epiphany yesterday. Okay, if you're into sales at all, please stop reading sales books and go read psychology books because psychology books is where all the sales stuff is.
Yeah.
You just get to read the longer and more in-depth version of it without the branding of whatever Kool-Aid you happen to be drinking. Like
Mm-hmm.
I I was walking this morning because like I had this idea yesterday, but it clicked this morning on my walk as I'm listening to this book called Feeling Good, and it's talking about all these things that I have learned in like sales trainings and like sales books and stuff like this, but I'm learning them on a deeper level because it's not this thing that's been co-opted and branded so that way you can say that it's your idea and owning it and everything is like this. I just get to go see this is just cognitive dissonance, and here's what all of this stuff is. So if you're into sales at all, stop reading sales books, go read psychology books because you're going to get like the really great stuff about how to communicate and how to build trust and do all these things without all the, pardon my French, bullshit that comes along part and parcel with a lot of sales stuff.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I would mimic that on the marketing side, and that's why I actually Influence by Robert Cialdini. It became
So good.
like the all-time greatest marketing books 25 years ago
Yep.
because it was about psychology, the human mind.
In this book that I'm talking about, it's talking about this book's blowing my mind, right? Because like you start to learn some of this stuff, and especially in a sales context, you treat it's really easy to treat everything you learn like a silver bullet, right? Like the first time you like understand the concept of pain versus like features and benefits, and agreements and buy-in and permission, and then marketing, like the first time you realize that there's like recipes for how to write good copy, pain, agitate, solution, and all of these things. It's just like, whoa, and you try to do too much of it in the name of checking those boxes.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
there's so much good stuff in the psychology world, and you get it untarnished by someone trying to brand it and manipulate it into something that makes sense for them and their brand. So go read psychology stuff if you're interested in sales stuff.
And Mike said NLP is good stuff. I even think to the point that I actually I was certified in NLP in my 20s, and even to that point, you're taking a program that someone else has built on psychology. So don't get me wrong, there's some good stuff in NLP, but just the raw like understanding how people work and not understand why they make the decisions they make by reading those different types of books will get you further than any program, I think. So
Yeah.
no knock on NLP, but it's just like it's another program based on different things, but
You know,
it's
in
a
the
certain way they do things.
the bad part about it is once it gets co-opted by a group and stuff like this, you have to deal with the baggage that goes along with it, right? Because all the NLP stuff is really, really popular in like the pickup and the mystery and all of this stuff, and so it kind of has a bad name. But at the end of it, it's just about having good communications when your intent is correct, right? If your intent is just to like
Right.
get girls and do all the things, then what happens is you're in that pickup world, right?
Mm.
If your goal is just to make $1 and just sell and stuff like this, you're not being a guide, you're being a salesperson, right? So none of these things are good or bad, just depending upon your intention when you're using it.
Well, you were making some comments yesterday in one of your threads with a sales guy talking about having bullet points is way more useful than having scripts. And I guess the same
Yeah,
idea is which if you understand the concepts and you understand what you're looking at, it's a whole lot easier to respond than to just walk through a program, which is what a script is.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do this real quick, right? I'm going to pretend that I'm reading a script and that I'm cold calling Jake, right? Or I'm trying to have a conversation with him. First of all,
Oh,
I it is so hard to not sound like you're reading a script when you're reading a script. It is really, really, really difficult, which is why the people who are really good at this are called actors and they make lots and lots of money, right? So just remember, it's really hard to be in the moment and be a human and all of these things, right? So let's just pretend that I'm reading a thing here. Hey, Jake, how's your day going today?
it was okay till I got called by a telemarketer.
Man, I'm super sorry to hear that. Did you have a few minutes so that way I could tell you about why I'm calling?
Why don't you just tell me why you're calling?
Uh, and then right there, if I don't have something in my script or a talking point or the conversational savvy to like deal with like kind of like a left ball, right?
Hmm.
You're going to be, yeah, you're going to be out on an island by yourself trying to figure it out because the prospect isn't going with you.
No, 'cause the hang up comes right after that, unless there's something right ready to come.
Exactly. The hang up does come because you are checking all the boxes that say you're a salesperson, and since you can lie to salespeople, you can hang up on them, you can treat them like crap and stuff like this. You're making it really easy to get treated in the way that you don't really want.
Yep.
But whereas when you just have talking points and bullet points and you put in the reps and everything else like this, and I'm talking to Jake and Jake asks me a random question or challenges me, go ahead, Jake. Like let's pretend that we're in this role play, and I say, Jake, how's your day going today?
Pretty good.
Good, good. I was wondering, would it be okay if I take 30 seconds and tell you why I'm calling, and you can let me know if we should keep talking or not? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Throw me a curveball and say no, John, or something like this.
No, I'm busy.
Okay. I appreciate you letting me know. Is there a better time today, or maybe later on this week, that we could have a conversation when you're not so busy?
Yeah, see,
So pause real quick.
Stuck because I'm
Exactly.
well, it depends what you're talking to me about.
Yeah.
That was
I
my
took
head.
Yeah, I took the thing that he gave me. I'm busy, right? I assume that means just busy now, and then I can qualify and question around like, what about later today? What about later on this week? That doesn't happen when my script doesn't allow for that, and I have to stay to the script. So scripts
That's right.
are great for about the first week, maybe even less than that. And then after that, you really have to be able to like own that thing in the moment. Because the other thing is that if I'm reading a script or reading a bunch of bullet points and stuff like that, I'm not going to be able to pivot back on that question and be like, well, what about later today? Or what about later in the week? Because I'm not really listening to Jake in that moment.
Right.
Right. I'm trying to get my needs met, which is by the conversation. So
Yep. Checking that
there's
box
some
on the
stuff here.
call list.
Absolutely.
Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. when you're sitting there rolling your eyes.
Call nights, man. Holy crap. I forgot about those. But yeah,
Call on my list.
yeah, absolutely. Dialed. But yeah, scripts are great for very, 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 very short periods of time, and then after that, you need to be able to listen completely, and that's really hard when you're reading or looking at your screen or your phone or your calendar or any of these other things, right? So prepare before the call, make sure that you are doing nothing on the call other than listening and taking notes and being in the peak performance zone, right? Clear feedback, right? Skills just outside of your range and things like this, so that way you can be in a peak performance mindset when you're having the conversation.
Yep, exactly.
That's the jam.
That's right. Nice.
Awesome.
Thanks for the tutorial.
Hey man, you're welcome. I'm fired up because I've been thinking about that yesterday since he commented on the post yesterday about like scripts and stuff like this. It's not about your script. You can have the best script in the world, but if you sound like a robot, no one is going to buy from you because you don't sound like a human.
Well, and if you're not listening, that's a part of it for me too. Because as soon as I feel like I am on a script with a salesperson, then I'm out.
Yeah.
Done. You're not listening to me. You're telling me things. So okay, cool. Well, enjoy that. Bye.
And I miss such a great opportunity to be like, okay, what about later today? Which makes me sound like a human and not like a salesperson, right?
Yeah.
Or what about later this week, Jake? Are you busy all week?
Yeah.
And stuff like this. That doesn't happen whenever I'm okay. It's now my turn to speak. I must speak these words that are here on the page. Stuff like this.
Yeah.
So anyway,
cool, man.
Dude, let's go kill the day. I'm fired up now.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Lots to do.
I gotta go get jacked. Let me go find something to do that's gonna get me jacked.
That's right. Gotta feed the energy. You're like what's his name in Justice League? I can't believe I'm forgetting Superman's guy that killed Superman. He feeds on energy. Anytime you hit him, he just gets bigger and stronger, and So okay, you're that dude. Let's go. All right, man.
Awesome. All right, Bill. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Let's go.
Let's go. See y'all later.